I'm going USC. Why USC? It's the quickest and easiest route to a perpetual college football playoff spot. So with Justin Fuente out, I decided this would be a good time to go ahead and show you what's available in college football and rank those open college football jobs as they are right now. Keep in mind, Miami fired their AD. That's going to be a job opening. Manny Diaz will be fired. That is the assumption when they fire the AD. They want someone else to be making the call and then hiring a new coach. So Miami probably will join this list of schools that are open.
You going to put them on there or no?
I'm not putting them on this list, no. For purposes of what's actually open right now,
okay,
these are the jobs that are open. Also, UConn came open this year. Jim Mora hired. Georgia Southern came open this year. They hired Clay Helton, 2 former Pac-12 coaches in the city of Los Angeles. Texas Tech came open. They hired Joey McGuire quickly. So those jobs are now filled. Number 1, you could really go with either 1 or 2 as the best. I'm going USC. Why USC? It's the quickest and easiest route to a perpetual college football playoff spot. USC should be the best program in the Pac-12. Way easier to get to a playoff to win a conference at USC in Los Angeles than it is at LSU in the SEC. You could argue either way, though. LSU, better, bigger fan base. They put everything into athletics. It's a great job. If you just get players in Louisiana, you're going to be just fine at LSU. Second best job.
Both terrific.
Number 3,
this
is probably personal preference.
It's a drop-off after there. There's a 1 and 2 in a line.
You're dead on right. And, Paul, I'll also say there's a drop-off after 3 on this list. And I'm including 1 Power 5 job that's after 3, 4, and 5. Those 3, there's another group. LSU 2, Washington 3. Same reason. Pac-12, I think it's easier to get to a playoff. Chris Peterson got Washington to a playoff, to a 4 seed in a playoff at Washington. Good resources, decent recruiting base, kind of a weird school. They put a lot into football, but you never really know if they're fully all in to the level of an SEC program like LSU, let's say. TCU, you could argue, is the best remaining job in the Big 12 after Texas and Oklahoma bolt. There's an argument to be made. That's the best job in the Pac-12. The Big 12, again, after Texas, Oklahoma are no longer in the conference. That really
says something about the remaining occupants.
Doesn't say a lot about what's left in the Big 12. That is for sure, Paul. TCU, though, resources. It's an 8,000 enrollment private school, but with a ton of money. They gave Gary Patterson everything he wanted to stay at TCU. They will put resources into football. They've got a rich alumni base also. TCU is a very good job in Fort Worth. I put them at number 4. Virginia Tech, number 5. Frank Beamer showed the path to being excellent at Virginia Tech. Good recruiting base, not great. You're sort of in rural western Virginia, but when they were at their best, they went to that Tidewater region of Virginia and got a lot of players.
You have a ton of money there, too.
Your second home.
Good money. You can go into North Carolina, go into South Carolina. You can get players all over the state of Virginia. Virginia Tech's a good job. Probably in football, 4th or 5th in the ACC, I'd say, in terms of jobs, but still a very good job. They're 5th of what's available right now. That goes to show you, though, how deep this coaching job pool is right now. That Virginia Tech coming open today is 5th on my list. Number 6, Washington State. It's one of the worst Power 5 jobs in the country. I would put Vanderbilt on that list. I'd put Kansas on that list. Washington State is right there.
Think about what Leach did for
coming
them.
Off its glory
Not a
years.
good job. Mike Leach has done a good job at bad Power 5 jobs. Texas Tech, Washington State, Mississippi State, also on that list. Very difficult place. I remember talking about this with Doug Matthews back in the day. One of the hardest places just to get to. Like where you fly into to get to the Palouse, how you get to that campus in Pullman on the Idaho border. Very difficult place to even get to.
You need Mike Leach to describe it.
Right. Much less get, dominant football players to commit.
Can he give you directions on paper like Kirby would have done?
He probably would.
Don't use your
I see Mike
app.
Leach as a guy who doesn't follow his GPS.
I feel the same
He
way.
follows his own written directions everywhere he goes. Washington State, still a Power 5 job, though. I've got them at 6th. Now we get into Group of 5 programs. Butch Davis out at FIU. FIU's a program Hutton knows something about from his
Butch
days
Davis
at
saying
MTSU.
that FIU was sabotaging the program. They had 15-year-old, roughly 15-year-old shoulder pads. Got new ones, but the new ones were actually used by Mississippi State. Mississippi State gave them 5-year-old shoulder pads that they were recycling.
Charitably or
charitably.
at a discount?
No, charitably.
That's pretty
They
sad.
just wanted them to get rid of them.
That's what happens to high school programs that get hit by some natural disaster.
Yeah.
Is other programs pitch in and give them old equipment so they can keep playing.
And he was also, so he knew he was going to be out. FIU.
But they're in Miami.
FIU.
That's why they're seventh on the list. They're
They
in Miami.
posted the head coaching job opening publicly
Before?
like so that the team found out about it online, right? Like so.
This before they told Davis?
Butch Davis knew about it, but again, like he was just like, look, they're sabotaging this. Here's examples of how they're not investing. Here's an example of how they're not investing in the program. And oh, by the way, they posted this publicly. So how do you think the kids will react to it?
Yeah,
they know I'm out.
They posted on Indeed.com for FIU head football
It's
coach.
also been a really bad program as of late.
It's been a bad program. Fertile recruiting ground, though, at FIU. Not so
better
much.
than the Zips.
Not so
According
much at
to
Akron.
Chad.
I will
We
say.
once, funny story about FIU, while I was at middle, we once got the phone number of the FIU quarterback and would call.
Wake him up?
We'd call him the night before games just to bug him, and he actually became a really good friend. He thought it was hilarious.
Really?
He drank with him?
Do you remember the name of the quarterback?
I will get it. I'll get the.
We need to find the name of that quarterback.
We need to get him
Was
on.
this on the team, Hutton? Remember the one that brawled Miami? Remember they ended the game early because of a huge brawl on an extra point? Like the kicker got blown up on an extra point. FIU and Miami brawl.
Was this 2005?
It was Randy Shannon, I remember, was the head coach at Miami at the time.
Is it conceivable you're one text away from texting the quarterback?
Yes.
Oh, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Let's get him on Zoom if he answers. So FIU 7, Akron 8.
Oh, real quick, we would call him as a fake persona named Joe Biffle. And he thought it was hilarious.
I beat Biffle.
I beat Biffle instead of Biddle.
I think
we would
Joe
call him
Diffie.
as Joe Biffle, and then eventually, like he figured out who we were, and I don't know how we got his number. It was, you know what? It was through like a recruiting base. Somehow we got a phone number through a recruiting base and called him. Anyway, sorry, Chad.
No, that's terrific. I really don't have much more other than UMass is last on this list.
If
Do I need to go into a lot of detail about UMass being last on this
when
list?
Miami opens, is it third automatically?
Miami is third. I would put Miami at 3.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
I think an argument could be made for Washington and TCU, but I'm putting Miami 3.
Virginia Tech
Put those at the
definitely
bottom.
do better than Shane Beamer, who beat Florida.
Shane Beamer already just now was asked about that and said, when I said that South Carolina is my dream job, I was not saying that to be trendy. I want my family living here. We are fully invested here and aren't going anywhere.
Never mind if he wants
as strong
them.
of a I'm not going to Virginia Tech as possible.
Never mind if he wants them. Would they want him?
Shane Beamer?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. To bring the Beamer name back?
That'd be huge.
It's never good to be the guy who follows the guy. So Justin Fuente made it almost 6 full years as the guy who followed the guy and Frank Beamer, who was there from 1986 until 6 years ago. Shane Beamer would make sense as the next coach, but I don't think he's leaving South Carolina.